Meanwhile, one thing is very clear after this week's meeting of world leaders, there is still no more leader leading us out of this economic mess. My next guest says when Ronald Reagan was president, everyone knew who was in charge, and that's what we need right now. The Kipper's former economic advisor, Art Laffer, joining me now on the phone. Art, the reality was in the midpoint of his presidency, Ronald Reagan was hardly that. He grew to become that. Who says Barack Obama still can't?
Well, I think Barack Obama could, but he's got to change pretty quickly.
What does he have to do?
Well, he has to start leading them, and he has to start recognizing what creates jobs. I mean, you don't create jobs by raising taxes. You don't create jobs by deficit spending. I mean, when Mark Zandi was on there and said it would have been 15% unemployment, that's just nonsense, Neil. The reason we have the high unemployment rates, the reason we have the worst recovery since the Great Depression is because of the stimulus spending, and Barack Obama has to reverse. And I had a very lovely conversation about 4 or 5 months ago with Austin Goolsbee, who's a great guy, by the way, and left the administration, but
right.
We talked about how he could get it back on track quickly, and he could. And, you know, Barack Obama's a fine person, and I really think he's really an American success story. He's just wrong.
But when you said you talked to Austin Goolsbee about it, he was one of the architects of the spending and the stimulus and all of that stuff. Did he agree with you that tax cuts were the answer?
I probably not.
Okay,
I'm sure he didn't.
Did you find any common ground? Because what seems to be advocated now in this country with stimulus is more of what we did then, and maybe in just bigger allotments.
Yeah, well, the problem with the stimulus, Neil, you can see it very clearly if you have a two-person world. If it's good economics, it works in a two-person world. If you have two farmers, and that's it. That's the whole world, Farmer A and Farmer B. If Farmer B gets unemployment benefits, who do you think pays for him? It's Farmer A. Government spending is taxation, as Milton Friedman said over and over and over again. You can't bail someone out of trouble without putting someone else into it. And we've just gone way off the ranch. I mean, I just hope people look at Europe and see what you're doing here on this show and recognize that we're not far behind. We really aren't. And if we don't get a message from this, I mean, heaven help us.
Well, you mentioned the Farmer A and Farmer B analogy to then the manure spending worldwide. If we learn that it hasn't really done the trick and that the more we pile it on, the worse things get, at what point do leaders of any political stripe, I don't care what side of the spectrum they're coming from, realize at the very least it's time to try something different?
Well, I think they should be realizing it's time to try something different. And, you know, I was hoping against hope that Obama would pull a Bill Clinton and really would become a great president because he has all the personal attributes to do a phenomenal job, except the policies are wrong. Now we have to wait till the November elections in 2012, and hopefully then we'll get a change in leadership. The Republicans are looking very, very good. And what you had on with Ralph Nader is the problem with Obama is he doesn't have any challenges in the primary to really make him a better president for a second term if he gets elected.
Well, you know, once you get a challenge, though, it normally does not help the incumbent. So maybe that's to the president's benefit.
You're right. It doesn't help the incumbent, but it gets them to change their views and look at different issues, Neil. And, you know, he's got to try something different. What he's been doing doesn't work. And we're losing large sections of our population that now will never get jobs. I mean, look at the inner cities, the unemployment rate there, the summer jobs program, the black teenage unemployment. These kids will be lost to us forever if we don't start changing. Well
put, Art. Art Laffer, people forget he was for Bill Clinton and some of the things he saw out of him, for Ronald Reagan. He's about as fair and balanced an economist as you're going to get, folks. Art, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
More folks from both sides.